friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chess Wise. Let's move to the new topic. Okay, the missing knight on f6. Okay, let us see what is the missing knight on f6. See, usually after the moves e4, e5, which is called king pawn opening, we see the knight's normal placing. White knight comes to f3 and the black knight comes to f6. The knight has a very important role of stopping the queen coming to h5. Okay, so the black knight on f6 will stop the white queen to go to h5, and the same way the white knight on f3 stops the black queen from coming to the h4 square. Let's see how it can be used through this example. We will see that. So knight f3, knight c6, development with support. White plays the move bishop c4. We are discussing and analyzing the move bishop c4 in most of the games, so that those who are new to the game, they can start playing this move and they will know most of the options for black and how to play against it. So bishop comes to c5. Here white can play the move d3 or nc3. Both will get us to the same position. White played d3 in the game. Generally black plays the knight to f6 first. In this game black played d6. It should lead to the same position actually. So white plays knight to c3. Okay, and now black has two options. We see that the move knight f6 is the best one here. Some people suggest the move bg4, which will also be slightly worse because the bishop is coming out first. There could be some problems like we discussed the game of early pin. Okay, now in this game black played the knight to e7. Okay, which is our today's topic, the missing knight on f6. What I want to show you is, if suppose black plays knight f6 and white plays the same way like what he did to the knight on e7, so that we can compare and see what is the difference. Now if white plays knight g5, black can castle, okay, by developing he supports the pawn. And now if white wants to exchange on f7, see knight into f7, rook into f7, and now see bishop into f7. So what has basically happened here? White has given up his knight and bishop for rook and pawn. Okay, materially it's balanced. Both are measuring at 6 points. Rook and pawn, 5 plus 1, 6. Bishop and knight, 3 and 3, 6. So what it looks like, the exchange has favored white because we got the rook, okay, bigger piece. This is what a weaker player would reason and say that the king has also become slightly worse on f7. But what actually has happened here? White's knight and the bishop, see, both were active, okay, and the rook on f8 was still just developed. It was only defending f7 square. So what white has done here, he has given up his good pieces for the passive rook on f8. Okay, and now what we see, the bishop and knight, they had also moved more number of times as compared to the rook. So on the board what we see, white has just one development. And see, black has already 3 developments, so he has become 2 tempi up because of this wrong exchange on f7. Okay, this we can compare to the game. Here, say it's clearly better for black. Soon black can play the bishop to g4 and try to get his queen on the king side. The king will go to the g8 square and it will be safe over there. Let's go back to the game. Now we return to the game where black played the move knight to e7. Okay, so knight e7 was played. Now we see the first disadvantage of knight coming to e7 is the h5 square. See, h5 square is not guarded by the knight anymore. Okay, other than that, the knight is also controlling the center same way than what it was doing from f6. Another problem is knight is not attacking e4. The f6 knight would have attacked the g4 square as well. So this knight is not as active as the knight on f6 was or would have been. Okay, now what white does here, white plays the knight to g5. See, this knight g5 and the one when the knight was on f6 are very different. Okay, so now see, black is in some trouble here. See, he can't play the bishop to e6 because there are 2 attacks, bishop and knight on e6. Black would lose a pawn here. Okay, if black tries to play the pawn to d5, we see that 1, 2, 3 attacks on d5 and there are 2 supports. So knight will take. Okay, then knight takes and bishop takes the knight. Simply black lost a pawn and white pieces are still active and still attacking the f7 pawn. So there is no respite from all this. in the game, black played the move castle. After rook f8, white can either take knight h7, rook h8 and get back the knight to g5, which is a good option, or he can consider the move queen h5 directly also. Both are good. In the game, black played castle. See, now what has happened? Because the knight on f6 is missing, white gets the strong move queen to h5. See, this move queen h5 not only threatens immediate mate on h7, but we see there are 3 attacks on f7 square now. So what has happened? The queen h5 move is a double attack. It attacks 2 things at a time. It attacks the h7 pawn and brings one more on the f7 pawn. So now see, 1, 2 and 3 attacks on f7 and there are only 2 supports. There are 2 attacks on h7 and there is only 1 support. So now black is in deep trouble. He has to move the h pawn to h6, otherwise queen h7 is mate. Okay, moving the rook to e8 doesn't help. We will see that variation also. After rook e8, we will be covering the topic of smothered mate. There is a very nice combination. Queen f7 check, king goes to h8, and now comes a spectacular move. King has no place. So see the sacrifice check. Queen comes to g8. Bishop is supporting the queen. Whichever piece, rook or knight, whoever captures the queen, the king is surrounded by its own pieces. See, and the knight checkmates. So this is called smothered mate. Okay, we will be covering this topic later on. So black gets mated after the move rook e8 by force. In the game, black played the move h6. Now we see that there are 3 attacks on the f7 knight. See, logically speaking, the move bishop f7 comes with a check, and the move knight f7 attacks the queen. Both moves are very strong over here. Okay, but the move knight f7 is somewhat stronger more than bf7, because not only it hits the pawn, it also threatens to move the knight and do a discovered check. Discovered check is a situation when a piece moves and from behind a piece is giving check. So this knight can move. Now see what happens in the game. In the game, black did a blunder. Black played the queen to e8 and he lost the game pretty quickly. The only chance to playing, continuing the game would have been rook f7. Let's see both the variations. Black played queen e8 in the game. Now knight comes to h6 check. See, bishop is giving check and the knight is also giving check. So it's a double check. King came to h7. Now the queen attacks the queen. It looks like if knight moves to f5 and queen gives check, queen can simply capture the queen. So white did a very strong move, knight f7. So the knight closes the queen's line and the queen is giving check. Now the king has only one place. King has to go to g8, and now we see on h8 square, white has got 2 attacks. So queen comes to h8 and it has become a checkmate. Now let's see the other variation. So now we saw that queen e8 loses by force. So black could, or he should actually play the rook to f7. After rook f7, white should take queen into f7. We note that already white has got rook and pawn for his knight. Okay. Now after the move king h7 here or king h8, to both white has a very strong move. See, white can play the bishop to g5. Now it looks like we have sacrificed the bishop here. Okay, first let us understand what the bishop on g5 is doing. The bishop wants to pin the knight, and next move knight will come to d5 and white will be able to gain a piece on e7. If nothing happens, let's say black is almost forced to play the move queen g8, to which also white can exchange bishop into e7, queen into f7, bishop f7, and lot of exchanges take place. For example, see bishop f7, if queen is not taking on f7, then after knight e7, queen e7, black loses one more piece. So black has to take queen f7, then bishop f7, and then after knight e7, this is exactly what white wants. Lot of exchanging has happened. Okay, and converting the rook against bishop or knight will be very easy. Plus he has an extra pawn also. Okay, so this is what white wanted. And suppose he captures the bishop here. Let's say h into g5. Then the move queen h5. okay, is checkmate, because the king can't go to the square g8, the bishop guards the g8 square. Such a mate, when the h pile is opened and the check happens from the h pile and the g8 square is guarded by the bishop, is called Greco's mate. Okay, it's one of the mating patterns which has been used here. So from this game we understand how much important it is to have a knight on f6. Otherwise the queen can be annoying on the h pile square. So I hope these games are very easy and it will be useful to know these games. Okay, I hope you are enjoying these lessons. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Do comment if there are any queries also. Thanks for your time.